Let's wrap up the month of May with 8 books. I know, only 8 books, but it's cool. That's just what I have time for. My name is Raquel. This is where we come to celebrate and explore Black books. So let's get into this 8 books. So I believe 4 of these books are books that I've talked about in other videos, and then 2 are rereads, and then 2 are books that I've never read before. So I'm just going to give just a little bit of a rundown on each one of these books. Let's get into it. So the first one is Remedy to His Madness by Aubrey Penn. Remedy to His Madness is so good. If you have not read this book, please go read this book. So Remedy to His Madness is an unlikely pair, very unusual. Now let me tell you what's so unusual about them. First of all, the man is old enough to be her father. Secondly, they're not in a romantic relationship. And third, he used to be a pimp and she is currently a stripper. Before you say anything, wait. So these 2 people are neighbors. You have the stripper who lives here and the older gentleman who lives here. The older gentleman is actually having some mental issues. He is uh, living with Alzheimer's. The problem is, for the year that Remedy has lived next door to him, she has not seen anybody come and take care of him. And he has been out in the middle of the night, walking with no clothes on. He is arguing with inanimate objects and just weird behavior. So she decides to go and take care of him. Unfortunately for Remedy, she has been thrown away by her family, and as a slap in the face, they decide to give her her grandmother's house, which is a bit in disrepair but obviously livable. And she notices that he needs help, and so she helps him, but they form a friendship unlike no other. Nobody can come and say or do anything to either one of them, because even in his Alzheimer's, he will let you have it. Even if he got to bop you upside the head with his cane, he is not playing about Remedy. So, his son comes in at some point, who he hasn't seen in many years. In his dementia, he is still in love with the love of his life, which is his son's mother. He comes back in to, kind of try and set things straight. And coming from Remedy's perspective, like, where the heck have you been? He's been struggling all this time, and you want to come in and, do all this stuff and make all these decisions. And in order for him to really make all these decisions, he's got to keep Remedy, because um, Eris is the father. He is not letting you go. You can't go against Remedy. If Remedy says it goes, like, these 2 are a pair unlike none other. And so in order for the son to actually come in and do what he needs to do, he's got to get the okay from Remedy and his father. I love this story. I don't think I've ever read anything like it. It was great. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do. The next book is The 19th Hole by Evelyn Latrice. This one is a slow burn, and I enjoyed this one. It is about a young man who starts off as a kid hitting balls into a tire, and he lives in the hood. So, we're going to make it do what it do. He becomes a golfing star, but politics and racism and all these other things just don't want to let him be great. There's an incident that happens. His agent says, "Hey, I think you need a break. Go over to this golfing retreat, get your mind together, and come back." He goes over to the golfing retreat. At the golfing retreat, there is a couple who owns the golfing retreat, and they have a daughter. The woman, or the mother of the golfing retreat, is having some health issues. The husband is more concerned about his wife, and rightfully so, than he is about this business, which leaves that on his daughter's shoulder. And she is up to her eyebrows in debt. But believe me, for the love of her family and this family business, she's going to work it out. So her and Zaire get together and they become friends. They teach some children golf and they just really have this great connection and they build something really beautiful. I enjoyed this book. Then we have Mia by Kimberly Brown, which is the last book in the Dillinger series. I don't want it to be over. I enjoyed this series so much. You would not believe it. Ah, I love this series. Mia is the second daughter of, there's only two daughters. I think there's four sons and two daughters. Mia is the youngest daughter in the series. She did not grow up with the Dillon clan. She came in at about, I believe, 16. And so by that time, she's already got that I got me, you worry about you attitude. I don't need nobody help. I can do this. And so she's been having this on and off super toxic relationship with this guy since she was a teenager, but now they are both a part of the Dillinger clan. Um, they are, like I said, having this horrible toxic relationship, and she decides, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I got to get away. She runs away and eventually, once he finds out where she is, he tends to go get her. He doesn't know that she's in trouble, but you best believe her man comes and saves the day. Um, this is a great story. I loved it. There is a tragedy that happens in the story that actually turns that toxicity into real, genuine love and care for each other. And I think that that is the part that really, really makes it, what it is for me, because they go from being toxic to loving and kind and understanding with each other. And yeah, I like that. So yeah, that is Mia by Kimberly Brown. The next book is Big Girl Blitz by Danielle Allen. Now, I did not read Curvy Girl Summer, but I did read Plus Size Player and I enjoyed it. But this one was the best of the two I've read anyway. I enjoyed this one. So you have Jasmine, one of the three friends from the series. She has an aunt who lives in her hometown. Her aunt has fallen ill again, and this time it doesn't look too good. So Jasmine goes back home to spend time with her aunt. Back when Jasmine was at school or in high school, she was bullied by a group of kids by being plus size. So now she's got to go back. She's got to relive these memories. She actually even bumps into some of these people, and they're still as funky as they were when she was in high school. So her and her aunt makes this bucket list and they are spending time enjoying each other. Her aunt is still loving on her, pouring into her, giving her that confidence, still being that loving, kind person that she's always been in Jasmine's life. One day, Jasmine goes out to a sports bar. She is a football fan. She's watching the game, having a drink. She meets a man. They click. Neither one of them are really looking for a relationship. Um, Jasmine is getting out as, been divorced, and it was such a horrible divorce that she's really just not looking for anything. The guy, however, his name is Lamar, and he's not looking for anything because he doesn't have time. He is a football player, and he just don't have time. Like, he's got his mind set on other things, and we know when we're focused, we have to keep our eye on the prize. Otherwise, the prize gets lost. However, if there's something you want to do, you make time. And he definitely makes time for Jasmine. They are communicating with each other in two different ways. He is communicating by actions, and Jasmine is communicating by voice. And throughout this relationship, Jasmine is very unsure until one point they have to start speaking the same language, and they do, and a beautiful language it is. I enjoyed this book so much. Okay, and now we're going to get into books that I have not talked about that I read. The first one I'm going to start out with is the one that I did not enjoy so much. It is called Dominion by Addie Critchens. This was a reread for me. I read it when it first came out. I was not impressed. I did not see the hype. It was okay. And because it was such a hyped up book, I thought, well, maybe I missed something. Maybe I don't get it. I read it again and got the same impression. Basically, it is about a family, a Christian family. The father is a prominent figure in Dominion. What is this town is called Dominion. He is a pastor of what I think is probably a mega church. His wife is the first lady. He owns a lot of property in Dominion, and he holds a certain status, so he has a certain reputation, but that reputation is false because he is a demon. And his wife, she holds a certain status because they believe this caca poo poo. And she knows that it's not true. She is just going along with it. I don't know why. Maybe it's for the money, for the status. I'm not sure why she goes along with it. They have 5 boys. They don't talk very much about. They only talk about the last son, whose name is Wonder Boy. His name is Wonder Boy because he is good at everything he does. He's a good runner. He sings like an angel. He plays multiple instruments, and he's wonderful, which is also a facade. He does actually play these instruments and sing and all that, but he's a horrible person, just like his father. He's got this girlfriend that is just as delusional as the mother. She does not see all of the horrible things he does, and maybe she really doesn't see it, but she's a teenager. The mom sees it, she knows it, and yeah, I don't get it. I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. I don't get why the book is supposed to be so great. It was just okay for me. Um, and what I do think is that the relationship of the mother and father mirrors the relationship of the son and his girlfriend. That was really all I got from the book, but there's nothing really great about either one of these relationships to be mirroring. So, yeah, that's the end of Dominion. Don't want to talk about it anymore because I feel like I wasted my time. I could have just stuck with what I read the first time. Then I read Front Street, which is also a reread for me. So originally, when I read the On Us series, I read it out of order, which I have a bad habit of doing. So this time I wanted to read it from the beginning. So I read Front Street first. Front Street is basically an introduction to the Porters. And the Porters consist of, in Front Street, it is the father and his 5 sons. His 5 sons each have different fathers. The father is a entrepreneur, and he tells his oldest son, Lake, who is really just a boy, somewhere between 7 and 9 years old, he tells him, hey, one day I'm not going to be here. And when I'm not here, you're going to have to take care of your brothers. It's just you guys. And Lake's like, who's going to take care of me? And he's like, yeah, no, you're going to have to take care of them. There's nobody here for you. It's just you. Nobody's there. And so they do have this aunt who I don't think is his real, are their real aunts, but she kind of oversees them. She doesn't live in the same house with them. And you've got 5 boys, and the oldest one is 16. Imagine what they're doing. He's taken over his father's business, and yeah, it's just like Lake, he is emotionally unavailable. He took what his father said to heart, and his only real care is his brothers. You've got Vaunt, who has been teased by his brothers for having a lighter complexion and softer hair about his blackness, so he's got to prove that he's hard. He has he's a ladies' man. He now has met Ivy and her little sister, and Ivy isn't the average girl. She's been traumatized, so she's just not falling over Vaughn head over feet. And so he is really, really pursuing her. Then you have Rec, who I don't remember a whole lot about Rec, except for, yeah, he's a brother after Vaughn. And then you have Dim and Savage. I believe Dim is the one with the behavioral problems. They paint him sort of like a psychopath. Dim and Rec are brothers, but they're best friends, but they fight like cats and dogs. And this is just the introduction to the Porters, and I totally enjoyed it. Probably enjoyed it more the first time because, you read it the first time, you don't know what's happening. The second time, you don't remember everything, but it's kind of like oh, okay, yeah, now I remember that. But it is a good book. I did enjoy it, and I'm going to have to go on to On Us One. Now, my last two books I'm going to talk about simultaneously because they are very similar books and they are both by the same author. So the books are Stepped by Nicole Jackson and Hold It Down by Nicole Jackson. Hold It Down is a reread, sort of. So the original Hold It Down was written years ago, and I have read it multiple times. Really enjoyed this book. She has now since written alternate um, an alternate to this book. So for me, it feels like the perspective of one of the main characters whose name is Raven. So the story is Raven lives with her mother. Her father is kind of in and out of her life. She knows who he is, but she doesn't spend a lot of time with him. She lives with her mother. Her mother has this older man who she likes to finesse money out of older men, but this older man lives with them. They get into a disagreement. The mother takes the side of the boyfriend instead of her daughter. Her father comes to pick her up, takes him to live with her, takes Raven to live with him. He lives with his girlfriend who has three sons. Now, the three sons and Raven are like brother and sister because their mom and dad are girlfriend and boyfriend. They all live in the same house. However, Raven and one of the sons wind up having an entire relationship right under their parents' noses. In this book, it kind of talks about the relationship. It kind of says to me how the guy whose name is Jabrin is sort of mistreating, mishandling Raven, and she is younger than him. They're both teenagers, by the way. Neither one of them are adults. But how he's kind of mishandling her, and his brand of love is not what I would really call love, but they are very young, and how toxic it is. Now, the alternate version makes me feel like it is Raven's perspective on what happened, how she was a teenager and she was allowed to do these things, and you know, just how she felt about the things that happened and what she did aside from, because it tells what he did to her, sort of what she did to him as well. So I enjoyed both books for sure. Now, the book Stepped is a lot like Hold It Down in the sense that you have a man and a woman who is in a relationship who then decides they want to move in together. They both have teenage children. These teenage children go to school together. They wind up moving into the same house together and having an entire relationship under their parents' noses. Now, the story is very different from Hold It Down after that point. So, Stepped is sort of about how these two love each other, but they know that they're too young and it's very toxic, and so they're stepping away and they're gonna try again maybe later on. these two would hold it down. They stay together no matter what. I don't care what either one of them does to the other one, they are staying together. If you read throughout her books, you see them pop up here and there. So Raven starts out at about 14 years old. In some of the other books, you later on see her in her 30s, where maybe this did start out sad and it hindered her growth and changed the trajectory of her life. But at 30, she is a grown woman with a family and still with him, and he's a businessman, and she's, I believe, she's an attorney, or her sister's an attorney, but or maybe she's a businesswoman. But it did not hinder her growth in the end. Possibly, I guess she could have been something else, but she isn't a bum. She isn't lacking for anything. This is a great story. Like I said, I've read Hold It Down multiple times. So to get an alternate version, I love that. And then Stepped reminded me of it as well. So all of these were really good books, with the exception of Dominion. And I also read P.S. Come Healed, which is part 2 to P.S.F.U. by Natisha Rayner. And so in P.S.F.U. is this young lady who's in a relationship with a guy. She finds out she finds out he cheats on her. She leaves him and gets into a better relationship. She didn't even take a breath. She found out he cheated on her one time and she was gone, even though she had been with him for many years. They had a child together. She wasn't playing them games with him. So P.S. Come Healed is about her sister, who um, is in a relationship, and she is thinking about getting a divorce. She meets this young guy who is, I want to say, like maybe 10 years younger than her. And originally she's like, "You just a boy. You don't know nothing. You can't do nothing with me." But they wind up getting into it, and she find out, well, maybe I was wrong. I mean, it ain't quite what I thought it would be. So it turns out to be a really good book as well. This was the 8 books that I read in the month of May. Let me know if you have read any of these books, and if you are going to read any of these books. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, see you soon.